Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Sew Along with Jan. So today we're going to be talking about the scanning and the projection cameras that are in a lot of the Brother and Baby Lock machines. So starting in 2008 when the Quattro came out, they started putting a scanning camera in that machine. So that's been quite a long time ago. The Baby Lock would have been the Elissimo. So the Quattro and the Elissimo were the first machines that had this feature, and the scanning, the basic scanning camera feature, and also the snowman feature. So I get a lot of questions about these features on the machines, and people are unsure how to use them. So we're going to talk about that first. So that works with all the way back to the Quattro and the Elissimo, the Dream Machine, Destiny, and then the Luminaire, Solaris, and now the new machines, the Avenir and the Radiance. So I am on my Avenir today because I'm at the store making this video. Because there's a couple of things that the Avenir will do that the Luminaire and Solaris will not. So I wanted to be able to show you on this machine a couple of those new things as well. So we're going to start with this scanning camera, and then we're going to move on to the projection camera. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples of how I use these features. So hopefully this will help you out. And so hopefully you'll learn all about your scanning cameras and you won't be afraid to use them. So I am going to use a mouse on my Avenir right now because that way I don't have to stick my hand in front of the camera to show you things. So the first thing I want to show you is there are some settings for your camera, scanning camera settings that are in the settings page on all of the machines. And the only machine that has the little cog wheel up here that says machine settings is the Avenir, but the settings pages on the other machines look like a piece of paper with the corner turned down. So it'll be roughly in the same spot. So we're going to click on that first, and we're going to talk about some of these settings. I believe on this machine, this is the Avenir. I think it's on page 10. Let me look at my notes here. I think it's on page 10. Okay. So at the top of whatever machine you have, at the top of the page, it'll say background image display. So there's some things here that you can change and set up. And most of the machines now, doesn't seem like the older ones had this feature, but most of the new machines have a scan quality that defaults at fine. And that is, I know the Luminaire and Solaris do, but I'm not sure about the Dream Machine. I don't know if this setting is there. But I like standard better just because most of the time I don't need my scan to be like ultra super cool and clear and all that. If you really need that, you can go back to fine. Standard scans quite a lot easier, or faster, I should say. So that way it doesn't take quite so long to scan. So I do like to scan with standard quality most of the time. Sometimes I do switch it to fine. This background image, you can see the little button is the delete button is grayed out. We'll look at this a little bit later. And when you have done a scan, sometimes it'll just stay up on your screen if you don't stitch out the design that you used the scanning in. If you don't stitch the whole thing out, the scan stays up there, and it's nice to be able to get rid of it so that you don't have that scan on your screen anymore. So that's where you would do it. And I'll show that to you in a little bit after we've scanned something. What's real important at this point with most standard scanning, you want to leave this fabric thickness sensor off. So a lot of them come with it on now. It seems like it was on this machine. Just make sure you turn it off because it adds some things that you don't really need for most of your basic scanning. So go ahead and get that turned off, and there'll be a little toggle switch there. We're not going to worry about the LED pointer adjustment at this point. That's a different thing, but I'm more looking at this information about the background image display. So those are the settings that I use. On those settings, again, you'll have the little piece of paper on most of the machines that looks like it has a corner turned down, and the Avenir has this little cogwheel up here for machine settings. Okay, so those are all set up, and I'm good with that. I'm going to click OK down here. And we're going to do some scanning. So we're going to talk about some of these other pieces that are laying here. I'll lay these over to the side for a minute. And we're going to just do some scanning. So I want to show you how easy it is to scan with this machine. There's very little you have to do. The machine does it all for you, and it walks you through step by step. So it's very simple. Okay, so I'm going to move this over a little bit. You'll have to forgive me. I have to move my tripod over a little bit. Okay, and I do have the light turned down a little bit on my machine so that you can see when we get to the projection camera, sometimes it's a little hard to see. All right, so I have this little Mickey Mouse design, and this is already, you can see that it's a separate piece, but I needed to not have so many hoops out. So let's just pretend that this is in the hoop, and I want to add my name to the bottom of Mickey. So often this is what I use the scanning feature for, is that I'm adding something else into the hoop that I've already got something embroidered on. Or maybe you have a jacket that you need to put in a new name or like a position for somebody underneath one that's already there. So then you can scan it in and you can know exactly where you're going to be putting that next part of the sewing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put this in. This is just a 5x7 hoop. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in. And let's go ahead over here for a minute. I wanted to show you how I got it in there. And I'm going to go ahead and go back over here. And we're going to go ahead and type my name. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my lettering. And you probably have all done this, so you don't have to, this is not hard to do. I'm just going to pick a font that I like. This is a fun font, so we'll use that. I'm going to go ahead and type in my capital letter down here. And we'll go get the lowercase letters, and I'm just going to type in the word Janice. Okay. And I'm just going to use the large letters. That's fine. They're about an inch tall, roughly. And we'll just go ahead and go with those, and that should be fine for our little Mickey over here. You can do a lot of other things. This is not going to be a video on the lettering. I will probably do one on lettering because the Avenir has some new lettering abilities that the other machines don't. So I think we'll do something on that, but we'll just go with this for now. This is a basic lettering that we've done, so that my name. So I'm going to hit set. And at this point, I am ready to scan. So you can scan in two places. The scanning button is very obvious what it is. If you look at the screen, I'm going to raise my camera just a little bit because you can't quite see it. If you look at this little button right here, it says fabric scan. So what that is, it's the little picture of a camera, and it basically is the same picture on all of the machines. So you can see that on the edit screen, because I'm on the edit screen right now, and you can see the word embroidery down here. So I haven't touched the embroidery screen. So it's on the edit screen. Okay. And it's also, if I touch embroidery at this point, it's also on the embroidery screen right here. Okay. So it's the same icon. It looks like a little camera. So you want to do a scan with a camera, you touch the camera key. Okay. So let's see. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything on my notes here. So we got our little words set here, and then we're going to go ahead, and at this point we're going to scan. So I want to know where my design needs to go because, you know, we've got Mickey in here already. So let's go ahead and click the little camera. This is how you use the scanning camera. Again, some of the machines only have the scanning camera, and some of them have both the scanning camera and the projector, but it works the same way on all the machines. So we're going to go ahead and click the scan button, and then there's a little button that says scan. Okay, so we're going to click the scan button. The frame will move to be scanned with the built-in camera. Okay, cool. So we're going to hit OK, and we're going to let it scan. So it is moving over here, as you can see. It's scanning over here. Okay, it's all done. And when you use fine, it takes a little longer. But this one, I don't need anything really fancy, you know. I don't need it to be a really, really good image. I just need something that I can see. Okay, so here is our design that has been scanned. So this is what's in the hoop. Okay, here's our design. Well, we obviously don't want it on top of my name, do we? Let's go ahead and look at a couple of the other things. Now, this is on the Avenir. Not all of the machines have these two items. So these are some things that are on the Avenir. But if you see these two little things, this is like brightness. So on my Avenir, if I don't want it to be as bright, on the screen. You know, if I want to make this the scan less bright, I click that button and see it's lighter now. If I want it to be darker, I would click the darker button and then it makes it darker. Okay, not all the machines will have that. I know this one does. And then this little button is also something that not all of them have. This one actually saves the JPEG, or in other words, the scan picture file back to a USB stick. So I can click this little button right here and it will save it to a USB. I have a USB attached to my machine, and it will save. So I don't think that all of the machines have these two. These were a couple things that looked new to me on this machine. I haven't, I'll go look on my Luminaire, but I can't remember. I don't remember seeing those because I use the scanning function a lot. Okay. All right. So we've scanned. We've got this up here. We know what these other buttons are on the Avenir, and I'm going to hit close. Okay. So now we know where we need to put my word. So obviously we don't want it on top of Mickey. So I'm going to go ahead and hit layout. This is the move button. You want to find your move button that has the arrows. And then we can take our design and move it straight down. And it's moving my hoop. I'm going to move it just below the word Disney on Mickey's feet there. That looks pretty good. Now that also looks like maybe my Mickey is a little bit crooked in my hoop. Can you see how Mickey Mouse looks a little bit tilted? So if we need to tilt it, we can also do rotate. Okay. And we can slightly rotate the word Janice so that it more fits the angle of my Mickey Mouse. Okay, so there's the things that are on the layout screen, or depending on the machine you have, it might also say edit on this screen as well. We're on the embroidery screen. So you can do that. So I just set that back to the middle. And again, I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to reset the angle too, because I think it was okay the way it was. Bring it down with my arrow. And then I want it just below the word Disney on Mickey's feet. Okay, so now we're ready to sew. So that's one way that you can use a scanning camera. If you have something already in your hoop that you need to add to, or let's say your fabric popped out of your hoop, you can scan it. And lots of times I can get pretty darn close to getting it lined back up again with the camera. All I have to do is hit the little camera button. So it's super easy. Hit the camera button and then hit the word scan, and it will scan right up on your screen. So that's a pretty simple thing. I said that is how easy it is to scan. So just find the little camera button. Okay. So don't be afraid to use this. You saw how easy it was. I clicked 2 buttons and it just did it for me. So that's all I have to do. If I want to, so at this point, this, I would be sewing my word Janice underneath that. After I stitched it out, this scan would go away. However, I am not going to do that today. I'm not going to be really sewing today. I just wanted to show you how these cameras worked. So I'm not going to be doing that today. So I'm going to click OK down here. And I am going to just go back to the home page. And so now what's going to happen is it's going to leave that scan. As you can see, I'm back on my embroidery page. See how the scan's still there? And I don't really want it just sitting there permanently. It's kind of in the way. So we're going to go back to that screen that I showed you a few minutes ago in the settings. So up here under settings, we're going to go back to, mine was page 10. It's either 9 or 10 for most of the machines. I'm going to go back in here and see now, since we scanned something, see how the word delete is now highlighted. It's not gray anymore. Now I can delete that by clicking delete. Okay to delete the background image. Sure, and there's an OK button. You probably can't quite see it down here. And I'm just going to delete that. Click OK here, and then see, now that scan is gone. So that's how you get rid of it. It is in the settings. Okay. You can also just turn it off if you want, but I normally like to just get rid of it if I'm not going to use that scan anymore. Okay, so that's one basic easy way to use the scanner. Just to use it on something you already have, say, sewn out, or let's say you're using a piece of fabric that has lots of figures on it and you want to put a name or something right in a certain place, you can scan it in and drop your name right in there. And it's so easy. So you just look for the camera icon. Okay, it looks like a camera with a piece of paper behind it, kind of. So let's move on to the next way I use the camera. I use the camera a lot. It's part of the camera function with the snowman feature. And I get a lot of questions about the snowman feature. Oh, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how it works. It is so simple to use the snowman feature. Okay. So what I mean by snowman is you're going to get a bunch of these little stickers. I'll put these up in front of the camera. So here's the little stickers you get with your machines. And they look like a snowman. There's a whole bunch of little, you know, what are they, 1x1 stickers, okay? And you're going to take one of these off your sheet. I've got one up on my machine, so we'll use that. So this is the snowman stickers. When I say snowman, that's what I mean. Okay. So one of the ways that I use my snowman sticker, which is part of the scanning camera, okay, is I use it when I am doing quilting, like with my clear blue tiles. So this is a clear blue tile from Kimberbell. I just picked out a size so you could see. This is 4x6. They have sets of them that you can get. They're up on our website, so you can look at the clear blue tile sets by Kimberbell. But I use these quite often when I quilt. Okay, you can either do edge to edge quilting or you can do block by block. So we're going to do a block by block today. So give me a second here. We're going to go over here and we're going to look what's in our hoop. Okay, so here is a piece of fabric and I just drew, well, let's pretend this is a block. I just drew a 4x6 block on here, okay, with a pen so that you could see what I was doing. So what I want to do at this point is I want my clear blue tile to fit inside here. So I'm going to fit it inside my block area. And this is the same size. It's 4x6. Okay. So to use my snowman feature, I am going to mark the center, and they give you these little lines to do that. I'm going to, whoops, just drop my pen. I'm going to mark these with this is just a heat pen. So I'm going to mark these. Here's the center. These lines in here with a pen. And then if I do this as an edge to edge, then I would also mark some of these little points here so that I could match it up, and like I could move it over to here and it would be exactly matched up for the next batch that I wanted to do. Okay, so here's my line. Here's my center. Put the pen back up here so I don't lose it. And I'm going to grab my snowman. So what I do then is I'm going to take my snowman. I'm going to show you a couple different ways that I use my snowman. So here's my snowman sticker. And here's his head, and here's his body. So the bigger piece, the bigger circle is his body. And I'm going to line him up, and see there's little crosshairs on your sticker. I'm going to line them up on my little sticker here, or my little block that I drew the lines in. So that is where the lines are, and I'm going to line them all up so he's straight in there. Okay. And then I'll show you in the next one, you know, that I may not be as straight. We may have to rotate. This one's probably pretty good because I drew it in. So, okay, so there's our sticker. He's all lined up. The lines are all lined up. Okay. We're going to go ahead and put this back in the machine, and we're going to come over here to the screen. So let's bring up the design that we're going to. So I am going to go into my USB stick. I have a design like a quilting design. So here's some little snowflakes. We're going to get the snowflakes and we're going to set those just like we would any other design. Okay. And then I'm going to go into the embroidery screen. So instead of using the fabric scan camera icon that we used in the last example, I am going to use the snowman feature, which is also part of that, but it just works a little differently. So we're going to go up here. This is the embroidery screen. Like I was just going to sew this out now, but I have to place it where I want it using that sticker. So I'm going to click layout, and I'm going to come down here to the little picture. Oh, there's a little picture that looks like a snowman. And it is called embroidery positioning. and I just call it the snowman. So here he is, and that's what matches that little sticker we put on our hoop over here. So let's click on the little snowman. It's going to say okay to revert to the original position, and what that means is that it's going to put the design back in the center of the hoop. If you had moved it, it will go back to the center at this point. Most of the time you will not have moved it at this point. All right, so I'm going to click OK down here, and then it's going to bring this screen up. And this looks a little confusing, but what it is telling me is that I can scan so that the machine, that the snowman will be either the top right-hand corner, the top corner, or the top middle, the left, and so on. I want it to be the center of my design. So here's the center, and that is going to default as being selected. Okay, so most of the time I want the center. And then I'm just going to hit scan, just like we did with the camera, right? We hit the snowman sticker icon in the embroidery screen under layout. The older machine said edit there still. Okay, and this is also on the Quattro. The same features also on, even all the way back to the Quattros and the Elissimos. We're going to hit scan. It's going to say the carriage of the embroidery unit will move. Okay, I better move my notes then, hadn't I? So they don't go flying on the floor. And I'm going to click OK. And the machine is going to move over here. And I'm going to let you look at the screen. So the machine's moving around over here. It's scanning just like it did before. But look, it's looking for that little snowman sticker. Okay, so what does it say? It's looking, it's recognizing, and it found him. So it found him, and now it says to remove the positioning sticker. And now I know, if I click OK, I know this is exactly within my little block that I wanted it to be in. So let's do a little test so you can see that it really works. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to leave I'll leave the little snowman on, but let's go up here then. Remember, we're still in the embroidery screen, and remember to use the scanner, we're going to touch the camera button. So we're going to scan this in. I'm just going to hit scan and OK. And let's see how we did and see if it's lined up well. So I'm going to let you watch it on the screen here, and then we'll go over here. Okay. So now there was my pink fabric, and if you look over here, this is what it scanned. Okay. And now let me see if I can get the camera a little closer. I don't know if you can see it too well. It's a little faint, but the little blue line is right here, and it's perfectly centered around that snowflake design. You do not have to do this. I just wanted to show you how well it did centering that where it belonged. And the little line is equidistant all the way around. Okay, so that is the snowman feature. This is one of the things I use it for, is for quilting. So I often use it for quilting. All right, let me get that little sticker off of there. We'll put the sticker back up here on the machine. You can use the stickers more than once. So we'll use it again in the next example. Okay, so I'm going to come back this way. Now we also have that scan back up there, so we don't need that again. So I'll show you again how to back up a little bit more. Sorry, I have a tripod, so I have to kind of move things around. We'll go back to the settings again, and we'll take that scan out of there. So let me hit the little settings page. I think it was on page 10 on my machine. And then here's where it says background image, and see it's lit up now. So now I can delete and OK. And now that little, I'm going to just go hit the home button because we're going to go back and do a different example and go back into embroidery. But see, now that scan is gone. And that's how you do it in the settings. Okay, so another example of how I use the snowman sticker. We're going to do a different thing. So give me a second. I got another hoop over here. Make sure I didn't miss anything. I got some notes for myself so I don't miss stuff. Okay. So here is another hoop. And I have a piece of fabric. Brother had this really cool panel that they gave us that has a pocket on it. It's like, it looks like a shirt on the front. And I find this very useful when I'm doing placement. So then I have a pocket to work with. So here's I've got my little piece of fabric over here so you can see it. And it has a little pocket above here. Okay. Let me pull this out a little bit so you can see what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do, I often do this with like logos and different things. So like, here's my little Shield Sewing Center logo. And I printed this. I just opened it up in my software and printed out this template that has the lines so that I can get my little snowman. And can you see my little snowman stuck right on that template? And he's all lined up with the lines on there. Okay, and I've got a couple pieces of tape on the back of this. They also make template paper that has the tacky stuff on it. I didn't have any here the other day when I did this, so I just printed it on regular printer paper. Okay, so here's my logo that I put on all my shirts at work. And I want to show you, so I often put them above my pocket, right? So, you know, you can measure from here to here. We're gonna do the eyeball method here, but sometimes I'll take my ruler and I'll measure and I'll just mark where the center is, and then I can put the center line right on. I don't happen to have a ruler here, so we're just going to do this, and we're going to kind of eyeball it, and I think I want to bring it down just a little bit in that area there. So that looks pretty close, and I'm just going to put my template on where I want my logo to be. Now, the last time I worked with this, I did a little bit of a video trial here, and I didn't have my pocket very straight, so I actually had to rotate this a little bit in the machine. And when we get there, you know, and actually let's just do it, and we'll skew it a little bit so that it's going to be up. See how I've got it kind of uphill here, and I'll show you how that works with the camera. So the camera, so let's say, you know, this is straight and our pocket's crooked in the hoop. This is actually straight now because it's where I want it, but the camera is going to turn my design for me. So let's go ahead and put this back in. I love the snowman feature. I use it a lot for different things. So I'll just kind of skew this so you can see the difference in it, okay? All right, so we're going to bring that design up now. Back over here to their screen. And I've got that one on my USB stick too. And it must be down a little further. Here it is. So we're going to grab that one. Okay. And we're going to set him. Okay. And remember, this is the edit screen. So we could scan right here if we wanted to. Okay. But we're not going to use the actual scanner. We're going to use the snowman. So then I'm going to hit embroidery. There's that scan button again if you need to use it. It's still on this page. But I'm going to find my little snowman, and he's under layout. The Dream Machines, I believe, still say edit. So we're going to go under here, and here he is. Here's our snowman. So I'm going to click the little snowman. It's going to say it's going to revert. Okay, no problem. And then we get that screen back up, and we want it to center it for us. And it's going to be in the center of my design because that's where I put the snowman sticker, was in the center of my design. So I'm going to go ahead and hit scan and OK. And it's going to scan. It's going to think. It's going to try to find him. Now he might be out of the area because I think, okay, he might be out of the area. Nope, I think he's going to be okay. So it says remove the mark. Now do you see how my design, he was like this and now it's like this. So see, it turned it because I put it with the straight being turned this way. So see how it turned the design a little bit. All right, so let's try it again, and I'll put it on straight this time so that it'll go back down again. You probably don't need to watch me put the template on, so I'll just do the template back down straight so that it will go straight on our pocket. Okay. So I do a lot of the templates, and I put my snowman on my templates a lot because this works really well if you know exactly where you want to put things. So, okay, so let's try that again. Okay. We're gonna scan again. So this time it is gonna actually move it back to where it was. So I'm gonna click the little snowman guy. Okay to revert to the original position. Yep, that's fine. So it's gonna move him back. We're gonna stay with the center here, and we're gonna click scan. And okay. So there it is. It's looking for the snowman. There he is. Can you see him? There he was. Okay, and now it moved it back. Remember, it was kind of tipped this way, and now it's back down straight. Remove the embroidery positioning mark, and now we can sew our design, and it's right where you want it to be. So to recap, you can either use the scanner camera, which is up here, and place it yourself. That's part of the scanning function. Or you can use the snowman, which is under layout. And like I said, I think the Dream Machine still said edit here. You can click on this and it will scan, and then it will actually position your design with the snowman where you want it to be. And it's part of the scanning camera function. Okay. All right. So that was pretty easy. There's not much you have to do. It does it all for you. You just click the button that you need. You find the button you need. You click it. You hit scan, and it just does it for you. So that's one thing that I just truly love about these machines, is that I have all this auto centering feature, and I don't have any trouble getting things lined up. I do use the scanning camera quite often if my hoop pops out, like stuff pops out of my hoop and I need to get it repositioned. So the scanner, this button here, that's another way that I get those things lined up, because then I have a bigger picture of where the things should be. So that really works really well. But I love the snowman feature, especially for quilting. I use it all the time for quilting. All right, so we've talked about the scanning cameras. So remember, look for the camera, and then for the snowman, look for the snowman. Okay. All right, so let's talk about I got to get my other back up here. Let's talk about the projector. And you know what? I think I'm going to leave the pocket in, because this helped me to do that. Let's leave this pocket in, because that one gave me something to look for with the projector. All right, so let's talk about the projector now. So the projector is going to be on the Luminaire, Solaris, and the Avenir Radiance. So it was not on the Dream Machine. So the Dream Machine has actually the Quattros and the Elissimos had the snowman feature and the scanning camera. Okay, so now we're going to go on to the other camera that's on here. And in this video, we're just going to talk about the embroidery end of it. We're not going to talk about, there's sewing features with some of these as well. We'll talk about that in a different video, but this is the embroidery stuff. Okay. So the projection camera is actually a projector, like you have a projector that you'd go to a movie theater and there's a projector, and it's a projector that's built into the sewing machine. Let's go ahead and I'm going to leave, let's leave this up. We're going to leave the little Shield Sewing Center logo up. And when I use the projector, what it's literally going to do is project this design that's on my machine down onto my fabric over here, exactly where it's going to sew. And it's so awesome when they added this, because now you have an added layer of, being very accuracy, because it is very accurate. So here's we said this was the camera, this was our scanning camera. Okay, looks like a camera. The projector looks like a projector. So it says projector, and it looks like a little cone head, or like the end of, when you look at a projector, it looks sort of like that, like a cone. All right, so we're going to click the projector this time. Okay, the projector is turning on. Okay, we'll just tell it to, okay, it's going to turn on. Okay. Now, on my Avenir, there are a couple of extra things that are not on the other machines. So the screen may look slightly different on your machine, but on the Avenir, I just wanted to show everybody this little settings pages here. And the other machines have a little different look to the screen. This one has a little projector settings that I can turn some things on and off here. And I can also change the color of my background. You will be able to do this also on the Luminaire, change the background color. You have 3 options with the Luminaire and the Solaris. You have 16 options with the Avenir and the Radiance. So if I click on this, you can see there's all these different colors. So sometimes some colors work better to see them than others. So I have mine set at black right now. And the reason I do is because I'm using a camera on a camera, and it cuts down on the rainbow kind of prism effect that you're seeing on your end. So I'm going to have mine on black. But generally what I do is I kind of pick the color here according to my fabric color, and then it makes it pop out a little bit more. So they gave us a lot more color options. The Luminaire and the Solaris only have 3 options, and those options will come up with when you turn on the camera or the projector. It will come up. This one has, as you can see, this little extra settings page, and it had a couple of extra settings. And we're going to go into what this projector edits with stylus means at the end, because this is only on the Avenir and the Radiance. Okay, so we've got our projector turned on. Okay, so there's a couple ways to make this work. On the Luminaire Solaris and on the Avenir Radiance, you can run it this way. This right here is the camera. So that's the position of the projector. Okay, right here. To move the design, you use the moving keys. Okay, so if I want to move this projector around where it is looking at, and let me show you this over here. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. I have it set up so I thought you could at least see it pretty well without too much prism color going on. Okay, so here's my little design right above my pocket here. And it is a little too low, so we're going to move it. But I want to show you first how you can move the camera. The camera on the Avenir and the Radiance is quite a lot larger than the camera on the Solaris and the Luminaire. So you often have to reach up here onto the screen. And this is how I usually do it. I grab the blue, this blue. I think on the Avenir and see on the Luminaire and the Solaris, I think it's red. But you grab this and see I can move this camera thing back and forth. So this is actually moving the projection area from side to side. I do that on the screen. Okay, so I'm going to kind of put it back in the center again. You have to kind of get a hold of it and then push it. There we go. So let's get it kind of in the center. Sorry, my fingers don't work very well on the screen. See if I can get it with the mouse. I don't know if the mouse will let me do it. Probably not. Okay, so this, I think that'll be enough. I think you can see it okay. And then this move button is our old move button that we've had in machines for many years. This physically moves the, oh, look at there, my Avenir is going to do its little trick. It does this sometimes. Don't be concerned. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off and turn it back on. It has frozen. So just a second. Every now and then it gets mad when I use the camera. So a second, we'll just put, that way you know what to do if this happens to you with your Avenir or your Radiance. Every now and then you get this. So you just turn it off, turn it back on, it'll just restart and it'll be fine. It only happens with the projector. For me, I don't really get to have this happen very often. It's just with the projection camera sometimes. All right, it's thinking. So it does take a minute for it to come back on. I'm hoping in the next update that they'll get this so that it starts up a little faster because it's very slow. That's the only thing I've ever really had a problem with, is that the Avenir really is slow coming on. The Luminaire was a little slow, but this one's slower. All right. All right, so let's go back in. We'll get our little design. So sorry about that, but at least you know what to do if it happens, because it does sometimes happen. We'll go get our design again. Get my little logo. It's down here. There it is. Maybe. There we go. Okay. And then set it. And then we're going to go to embroidery. Let me put my hoop back in here. So you can see sometimes things happen to me too. I usually just leave them in the videos so that people can see things happen to me too. So we're going to go, again, we're going to project. So we're going to get our projector. This was the scanner. We're not going to use that one this time. We're going to project the design down. So I'm going to use my projector. It's going to tell me okay. It's going to, okay. So now I've got my design down here. And see, again, what we were doing is we were moving our camera around. So you grab the camera and move it on the screen. Hopefully it doesn't lock up on me again. There we go. Okay, so we can get kind of put in the middle. That's pretty close. Okay. So that's how you move the actual camera field, I guess is the best way for me to put it, with your finger on the screen. If you need to move your design, which we do, we're going to use the move button right here. This is the move button. These are the old buttons. We've used these for years. This does the center, and then this one's going to move it straight up. Now I do need to move it up, so I'm just going to move it up here, and I'm going to let you see over here what I'm doing. So I'm using this up button right here. So you can see what I'm doing. So you can see it's still down below my pocket, so I want it up further. So let's bring it up. And then, I'm a little bit high, so let's bring it back down again. Kind of overshot it a little bit. That looks pretty good. Maybe one more bump. There we go. All right. So there is our design now above my pocket line. Looks pretty nicely straight because I actually got my pockets pretty straight. If you needed, I'm going to click OK on the screen over here. If you needed to rotate, we'll go back over here so you can see the rotate. So here's our rotate button. Okay, rotate. Here's your degrees of rotation, like 1 degree, 0.1 degrees, and so on. I could rotate that if I needed to there. Okay, this is in the like the embroidery screen under layout. So this is the items, and these open up with this opened up with mine, with my machine. I don't think it does on the Luminaire and Solaris, but it's very close, so you can easily open the little layout or editing screen open. Okay. All right. So then you can see over here is my design, and I've got it up here where I want it. Okay. And then I'd be ready to sew. So that has projected down on top of my fabric and on my little pocket here, right where I want my design to go. Okay. So hopefully you can see that. I think you can see it fairly well. I tried some combinations of color, and I also turned the lights down on my machine so that you'd be able to see the picture. It's a little hard with the camera to see it because you got a camera looking at a camera, and sometimes it's a little hard. Okay. Now I want to show you a couple of things that the Avenir does that the other machines don't. And there's some really cool new things. And I hadn't really played with this until, I guess it was yesterday I was playing around with this. And I thought, well, wow, this is really cool. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anything on this page here. None of my pages are turning on my notes. Okay, so I think, okay. So you do get this with the Avenir or with the Luminaire and the Solaris, but this has this little stylus pen thing. It has a button right here that you press. This comes with the Avenir Radiance, and it also works on the embroidery side now, when it only worked on the sewing side before. But the Luminaire and the Solaris cannot do this, so this is in the Avenir, and it's actually kind of neat. So remember when we were over here with those settings? So this is the Avenir, and the settings button right here, this is the projector settings. So I'm going to click on that, and here it says projector edit with stylus. I have that turned on. You can turn it off as well, so you can just turn that off, okay? Or you can turn it back on with that little slider, okay? And what that means is now we can actually move our design around right on the hoop, and I don't have to touch the screen over here. Like you saw me moving my camera around, the projector around with this blue box, okay, with my finger on the screen, and then I use the move or the rotate button over here to move the design. Well, now I can do all of that over here on the hoop. And I thought, well, why would I use that? But you know what? It's kind of neat. I was playing around with it. Okay. So down here, can you see this little box right here? This is how this opens up. So I've got my little stylus button here, or stylus here with the button on it. And I'm going to touch this kind of flat side, and then I'm going to push the button down on this little box. And it's going to open up this cool thing. So what this is these are the buttons to move my design around. Just like, you know, the move buttons were on the screen. Now I can move it with these buttons. So if I touch these buttons, it moves it. Can you see it moving? So see how it's moving it? And that's what this does. And it's right over here on the screen. So then you don't have to go back and forth between the screen and now I'm just touching the button every time I want to do something. There's also a way that you can move this, like let's say your design is, you're trying to line it up someplace down here and this is in the way. These little arrow things over here. So if I touch this one that's pointing to the left and touch that, it'll put those same move buttons over here on the left-hand side of the screen. And then if I hit the one, there's an arrow pointing to the right. I'm going to click that one. Then it can put it over here. So see, you can move this around in case your design, like I might be trying to line it up with this, and then this is out of the way now. So I thought that was neat. And then the little arrow here that has the arrow pointing down. If I do that one, then it puts it back at the bottom. So it's really neat. I thought that was really neat. So then I said, well, what do these little things do? So let's press this button. And then what it does, you know, we could move the design, right? So the moving the design was these buttons. So these are like our move buttons. And then if I press the little double arrows here, that's rotate. So here's like, you probably can't see it too well. I apologize because it's white. I couldn't change the color of this. So it's like 10%, 1%, 0.1%. For rotation, this one rotates to the left and this one rotates to the right. So those controls are all right over here. So like if I wanted to do 10%, I don't know if you can see, did you see it move? I'll do it again. So you can see it moved over 10, it rotated at 10%. So we can go back from where we were. So this is the rotation. And then if I click the little double arrows again, then it takes me back to the move screen. Now you notice that when I went up, so that I moved the move part up to the left-hand side here, I'm going to touch that arrow again. See, then I get the rest of the buttons and the polka dot, which centers it. So if I hit center, it'll bring my design back down to the center. And then I can move it back up again with the up button here. So isn't that neat? So you just have to press it until you get it where you want it. Okay. And it doesn't let you hold it down. You have to press it each time with this. But it is handy if you've got it pretty close. Okay. All right. So let's talk about, there's another thing that I can do here, which is really cool. So let's put this back down to the bottom like that. So we talked about being able to move the design and rotate the design with this screen here. Well, if I touch this little box here, and I don't know if you can see it, it's a little square with like little tick marks around the corners and one in the middle. I'm going to click that and our screen's going to change. This actually, and can you see the little cone in the middle? And the little cone means that's the projector. So this way I can move my projector side to side. So you have to touch this little button first, and then this lets me move my the actual projection area. So if I touch this, it'll move it over to the right. This will move it to the left, or I'm sorry, left and right, like this. You want to move it up. I can't move it too much. I have a real small hoop in, so I can go pretty much side to side. But that's what this one is. When you get this little button right here pressed, that's what brings up the actual projection area, moving area. So I don't have to go over here and touch the screen at all. And so I thought this was so cool. Then you touch this again, and then it brings me back to moving my design like that. And then if you want to get rid of these controls, you touch this button over here, this little, it looks like an arrow down right here. See if I can get it to go. There we go. So then it it brings it down so that you just have this little tiny box here. And if you don't want any of that here and you just want to use the screen, we'll go back over here again. You just go back here to the settings up here. Again, this is just the Avenir and the Radiance. And then you can turn this off. And then we can just use the screen for what we just did. So I'm going to click OK. And then if I go back over here, see, all of those little things are gone. And it's just the picture of my design. And then I would use, I'm using the move button right now on the screen. And I can move it up. Now see, with the moving it on the screen of the machine, it will move up quicker. So just so you're aware, so if you are a long ways from being in the right spot, it would be faster to get it close on the screen and then come over and do the fine adjustments with the pen. Okay, so that's something new that is on the Avenir and the Radiance, and I just thought that was so neat. I hadn't really played with it much yet, and I kind of played with the buttons, and I'm like, wow, that's really neat. And then if I turn, I'm going to go back to my settings over here again. I'm going to turn my projection stylus thing back on, and then that little box will show back up here, and I just use my little stylus pen and open that up, and here's all my moving buttons again, ready to go for the next design. So anyway, so I thought that this is really cool. I wasn't sure if I'd use this, and when I first got the machine, I didn't really use it, and I thought, well, let me play with it a little bit. So I played with it, and I thought, oh, that's really neat. So this is something new in the new machine, so that you can see that. So this is the scanning camera and the projection camera for the machines. And let's review the icons on the screen here. So it's very easy. Don't be afraid to do this. You're not going to hurt anything. If you want the projector on, you touch the little projector cone head. If I want it off, I'm just going to click there, and it's going to say it's going to turn off. Okay. There we go. And it's turned off. If I want to scan what's in my hoop, I use the fabric scan or the little camera on my machine. And even some of the multiple needles, like the 10 needle machines, all have this too. So if you have a 10 needle machine, you can use this, and they have the snowman feature, but they do not have a projector in them. So they do have the scanning features in them. So I just really had fun working with this yesterday. I went through and made some notes so I could teach this video, and I'm also going to teach a class on November 13th in the store, and this video will be put up shortly after the class so that there's something to reference back to. I had a lot of fun doing this because I just had a chance to go through and do some of the things I haven't done on the new machine before. So, and it works the same way on all the other ones as well. And I thought everybody would have a lot of fun learning a little bit more about their cameras, because I get a lot of questions about the cameras because everybody's so scared to use them, and I don't know how to turn it on. Well, it's pretty easy. Turn on the camera with the camera, turn on the projector with the projector, and you just touch it, and you're not going to hurt anything. Just use it and play around, and it's so simple, and makes life so much easier when you're trying to get things lined up. So thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned a little bit about your projection and scanning cameras and Snowman. And if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, Sew Along with Jan, I'd encourage you to do that. And also come join us on Facebook, because the Facebook group is called Sew Along with Jan. So come join us there also if you would like, if you do Facebook. So thank you so much for joining me, and have a great day.